Hey everyone, my name is Porter, and this book has been part of my life for years. People sometimes see the newer pages and assume I suddenly decided to make this giant book project one day. But honestly, this started when I was 14 or 15 years old. Back then, I was a geography nerd. I loved maps, atlases, road systems, population charts, state facts. I could stare at maps for hours. I thought Nevada looked rugged and mysterious. I loved how you could see Bingham copper mine from space. I memorized capitals and state mottos for fun. But eventually, something started bothering me. Maps had information, but they didn't have soul. They could tell me, here's the capital, here's the population, here's the state bird. But they couldn't tell me, what is it like to live there? What is Kansas actually like? What is Nevada outside of Las Vegas? What is California outside of Hollywood and politics? What is New Orleans like when music echoes through the streets at night? I wanted to understand America on a human level. And then one day at the library, I found these books, 56 of them, one for every state, Washington, D.C., and the territories. I checked out Alabama first, and honestly, it changed how I saw the country. Because Alabama wasn't just a stereotype people joked about, it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., it was Huntsville helping put men on the moon, it was Southern culture, agriculture, history, mobile, and the Gulf Coast. That moment stuck with me. So every week I kept going back to the library. At first, I checked out 5 books at a time, then 10, and eventually I became so inspired that I decided I wanted to make my own book. These were some of my earliest pages. They weren't perfect, not even close. But back then, I was trying to understand what made every state unique. I wasn't trying to make a cold encyclopedia. I was trying to capture personality, humanity. You can already see it in the early pages. California's contradictions, Alabama's history, Colorado's mountains and skiing culture, and Idaho's farming roots. And over time, this project grew alongside me. By the third edition, something changed. The project stopped being, here are facts about a state, and suddenly they became, here's what this place feels like. Brooklyn in New York City became pizza, bridges, crowded streets, police officers, Coney Island, and energy. Washington, outside of Seattle, became orchards, soft colors, calmness, and nature. And eventually, this book project evolved into something more emotional and story driven. One of the biggest examples of that is Minnesota. Now, when people think of Minnesota, they think cold winters, lakes, and maybe the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And I could have drawn the Mayo Clinic building and written facts about it, but instead, I realized Mayo Clinic gave me a perfect opportunity to tell a human story. So, this is the story of Cassie. She's a semi autobiographical character, partially written after me. Cassie is a little girl. Cassie is a 20-year-old female who was born with hearing loss, and she receives her cochlear implant through the Mayo Clinic. I too have a cochlear implant, but the pages aren't really about medical technology. They're about fear, hope, family, a little girl scared before surgery, a mother trying not to cry in the hallway, doctors comforting a child before a life changing operation, a father whispering, "Can you hear me?" And then hearing, "Yes, Papa, I can." That's what I mean when I say I want this book to feel human. I don't want people to just learn facts. I want them to feel something. Because America isn't just buildings and statistics. It's people, it's families, it's moments, and it's ordinary life. And honestly, I think people are starving for humanity now. Everywhere you look, there's negativity, politics, division, and anger. People reduce entire states to stereotypes. California becomes heavily overshadowed by politics. New Jersey becomes ugliness and pollution. Kansas just becomes boring flyover country. Nevada just becomes casinos. But that's not real life. Real life is ordinary people trying to survive and build meaningful lives. It's a steel worker coming home exhausted to his family. It's Cassie waiting all year long for a corn dog at the Iowa State Fair because she swears they taste better there. It's farmers selling melons in California's Central Valley. It's camping beneath the stars in Montana. It's grandparents drinking coffee in diners before work. That's America too. And honestly, Norman Rockwell became a huge inspiration for me because his art felt human. You can take his most famous art piece, Freedom of Speech, for example. It's a young man standing up, uh, giving, speaking about his ideas, and all the older men around him hear him out. But somehow, it says everything. That's the feeling I want this book to have. Not perfection, humanity. There's a scene in Iowa where people gather in a diner during caucus season. A politician by the name of Andon Kalen, uh, he shakes hands with a truck driver, not screaming, not yelling, just listening to his troubles, listening to how late the trucker stays up to get orders in on time. In Los Angeles, there's a pastor giving food and blankets to a homeless man. The homeless man quotes Matthew. In Maryland, in the city of Baltimore, there's a city, there's a scene about families polishing marble steps outside of row houses because they took great pride in their neighborhoods. These things matter to me because ordinary life matters. And honestly, some parts of this project became emotional to work on, especially immigration. Imagine leaving your homeland forever, packing everything you own into one suitcase, getting on a crowded ship, not knowing if you'll survive, weeks at sea, fear, homesickness, and then one morning, you see New York. The sun is rising, and it's positioned perfectly behind Lady Liberty's torch. And suddenly, you feel hope, a new life, a second chance. That's what makes them. That's what makes the American story special. This book isn't pretending America has always been perfect, because it hasn't. We've always had disagreements. It's not just something new today. We've had disagreements with loyalists versus patriots during the American Revolution, pro slavery versus anti slavery, until it escalated un- into the Civil War. People wanting to stay home and thinking it's a duty to serve their country and protect democracy during the Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal, September 11th, and yes, modern politics. Division is nothing new. But what matters is that we still remember that we belong to the same country during difficult moments. That's what, out of many, one means to me. Different states, different cultures, different people, one nation. Like a huge family sharing one roof. Yes, the siblings will fight, and they'll squabble, but at the end of the day, they're all family. They're related through their father and their mother because they all share the same idea of freedom. And I think people desperately need reminders of that right now, especially younger generations, because freedom, history, and culture and identity don't survive automatically. They have to be remembered, protected, passed down. That's why part of this book matters to me. I want someone's grandpa to be sitting in a recliner Sunday, flipping through this book with his grandkids saying, "Yeah, I remember places like that. I remember how this used to be." I want someone from Georgia to cry tears of joy because they felt like their home was captured properly. I want people outside the United States to finally see America beyond headlines, celebrities, and stereotypes. And more than anything, I want people to remember the humanity in places, because every state is beautiful in its own way. And despite all our differences, we're still Americans. So if you decide to follow this project, thank you very much. I'm trying my best, I do my research, and I genuinely care about the people and places I'm drawing. This project comes straight from the heart, and I hope people can feel that. Out of many, one. One state at a time, I'm drawing America the way it deserves to be remembered. Thank you. See ya.